Hey everyone, this specific video is long overdue. I'm really passionate about this issue because this is something that we're going through almost every day. I don't think that this has to be actually an issue in the countries like United States. Today I want to talk about the medicine, the overall medical system here. When I was here first in 2013, I didn't really have any medical issues, so I had no idea how the medical system works here overall. But when in 2013, actually I believe it was like 14 or 15, I immigrated here. One of my friends who picked up me in the airport, we were talking about the life here in States, and he told me like one of the worst part here is medicine. Obviously I was like, what the hell are you talking about? It's impossible. Like a #1 country in the world, the biggest economy in the world, how on earth is possible that the medical situation here would not be the best in the world? However, I started to get shock by shock when I started to understand how the medical system works here. Now I have heard the horror stories from the guys living here back in the days before they passed the reform under Obama called Obamacare. I heard lots of horror stories from the students who were, they were like super sick, they were close to death, they had to call emergency, and then because they didn't have any funds, they had to use the fake names from the people who are just collapsed in the work or in the school, and they never called the doctor, never seen a doctor because they knew they cannot afford it. This was just shocking. This is some third world stuff. I mean, this is not supposed to happen in the United States. If you would go and check the medical situation in 90% rest of the world, you will see that there are no such issues. Like most of the countries, they have a free medical system. It can be bad, it can be good, but it's not as bad as here is in the United States. Literally, I've been to 30 countries, including India, China, Russia. Never in the world, nowhere in the world, I saw disaster in medical field as I saw here in the United States. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a big patriot. I love United States. I think everything else here is close to perfect. It's not perfect. Some fields like regulations, medical field, probably some other small fields, they definitely need reforms, like immigration, one of them. One of the big shocks for me was that when I found out there were now no public hospitals in the United States, it didn't really make sense to me. Like, how can there not be a public hospital? Because everywhere in the world you would go, you will see that there are public, there are private hospitals, the same as a school system. That's one of the reasons when some of the companies, they work with public insurances and some of them don't, and it doesn't matter actually which company you go, there are always huge lines at the doctor's office. Like you can wait 3 hours, 4 hours. Lately I had like kidney stones, I had to go to emergency. I waited like 5 hours, I believe. I went at like 2 a.m. and I went out from there for like closer to 7 a.m. I was just waiting for the results. Like in any other country, it should be like no longer than 30 minutes. Here it took me like 5 hours, and it's not about the waiting. When you wait in a hospital, you're always in stress. You don't know what the result is. Really not good situation to be. Now in Canada, it's totally opposite. I believe they have public hospitals, but they don't really use private ones, and that's one of the reasons why people, especially rich people, they're crossing the borders coming here to pay for their doctors. Now I don't think that they feels like education or medicine, and I'm pro-capitalist, trust me. I'm pro-business, I'm pro everything that is against the socialism or communism, but feels like medicine, feels like education, they have to be very good on the public sector too. Otherwise you would get like a huge disproportion between the poor and rich, and this is just not ending well for societies. Just look at India. They have one of the highest amounts of billionaires per capita, but like the rest of the population is really starving. This is really, especially for the countries like United States, developed countries, this should not be an issue. Another good example is Germany. I'm fascinated with those guys, how they operate the things, how the country recovered after World War II. But the other thing that fascinates me, that pretty much all education in Germany is free. And it's not bad. I mean, lots of people who are graduating from German universities, they keep inventing great things. I mean, some of them are even working here in the United States. The medical field is even more amazing. First of all, it's free. Second of all, they had a lack of doctors, I believe, 5-10 years ago. So what they did, they passed a program. It's pretty much allowing to the doctors from all over the world to go to this fast immigration way. And what they did, they brought doctors from all over the world, tested them, did some kind of certification, and now pretty much they don't have any lack of the doctors as we do here in the United States, which makes sense because you have to study 12 years, work some years to get your own business here. Doesn't really make sense. So I'm not saying that the government operates anything better than the public sector does, but what I'm not okay with is trying to make money off the sick people. For instance, cancer is the $19 billion industry. Like, obviously their part is interested in keep people sick and keep them buying their drugs, which is, I believe that's just not good money. That's bad karma, man. Like, I don't see that people who are making money this way, they will be able to spend those money easily. It's just not a good karma. Anyways, that's one of the reasons I believe that cures like cancer are going to have a hard time to be cured totally. But again, I mean, if there would be a serious reforms like the guys in Germany did. Also, just so you guys know, I think that one of the industries that should be also reformed is insurance industry. The prices for insurance, they don't really make sense. I mean, not the way that California tried to reform the insurance companies. That's ended up like many companies leaving just California. They don't want to operate here anymore because there were like a certain caps, I believe. There should be some allowances, you know. Most important thing is just to allow the government to have some kind of public hospitals. This is like must-have thing, I believe, because just look at the school system. There are private schools, there are public schools. Not all the public schools are bad. Of course, in comparison, public schools are a little bit better, but there are lots of people who graduated from public schools and they're doing very well. Anyways, if you have thoughts about this issue, guys, don't forget to share them in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.